I'm so excited. I have been loving talking to couples over the last few months, and I have a couple today that I can't wait to talk to. We have Dr. Tara and Brent. Welcome to Seeing Other People.
Woo!
Thank you.
We're excited to be here.
Can you guys give the Seeing Other People family a little bit of background on each of you before we get into all the ins and outs of your relationship?
Yeah. I'm a sexologist and a professor at Cal State Fullerton. I teach human sexuality, and I also have a podcast called Love Bites where we talk about different topics on sexual explorations.
Nice. She's so good and concise. I'm not as good and concise as her, but
She does this for a living, in her defense.
My name's Brent Estabrook. I'm a artist here in LA. I'm really known for painting really colorful, happy paintings of like stuffed animals.
Wait, I need to check out your work.
Oh, yeah. You totally.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, his Instagram is Brent Estabrook. It's incredible. It's a very beautiful, happy art.
I'm so excited, and the shirt that you're wearing is perfect for that.
Yeah, it is.
My God!
If I'm ever wearing a different shirt than this, something's...
Call the police.
Yeah, call the police. Something's wrong with me.
I'm obsessed, and I will say, like, I am 30 years old, and I still sleep with stuffed animals, so I can't wait to check out your
animals too. Yeah,
they are that. We're never too old for them.
She has a vagina stuffed animal out in the living room. She's got different kind of stuffed animals. Well, she's got them all.
But stuffed animal,
do you consider that an animal?
Mine is.
There we have it. You heard it here first. Okay, so you guys met in 2020.
Yes.
Interesting year to meet. I want to know everything about the early stages of your relationship. I've really loved hearing how couples have met, what the beginning stages were like, because for those of us who are single, it is so hard to imagine, like, okay, feeling really burnt out from dating, feeling like there's so many people out there, yet I can't find anyone. How do I ever get from a first date to being in a relationship with the type of person that I want? And I'm married now, but I went through all of that too. And my dating life was a dumpster fire. And it took me so much learning and growing to get to where I am now and to be in the relationship that I'm in now. So I would love to just hear from the beginning how you guys made it work.
Yeah, well, we actually met in 2019, and we met on the plane.
Whoa.
It's a cool story.
From where to where?
You want to tell it?
Yeah. So it was August 2019 is when we met. She was flying to Greece and I was flying to Italy, but the first leg of the trip was LA to like New York. And actually both our flights got canceled, so we got moved to new planes. And then I happened to sit next to her and we talked the entire time, exchanged numbers, and then we went off and traveled. We came back. And this was right before COVID.
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you?
COVID was an interesting
time. It was a perfect time to develop a relationship. But I'll give you the short story. So eventually got back. I used to spend really late nights in my studio till like midnight painting. And I got a text from her like maybe 2 months after we met. And she texted me. She goes, "Are you at the studio?" And I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Whiskey or tequila?" I said whiskey, and I kind of knew what was up then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm an assertive girl.
Which I love. I'm all for like making them. What do you have to lose?
I know. And I always tell my like students or women followers to like, this is 2025. Like, you don't have to sit around passively and wait for someone to come court you. Like, things are different. And also, like, in this, I guess, cultural landscape, there are a lot more men that are not as assertive in, like, hitting on women due to various reasons, right? So I think it really allows for women to step up and just, like, speak their mind.
Yeah.
And, like, if I like this person, I'm going to tell them. And, he knew.
Yeah. He's great.
Why wouldn't you tell them? Like, that's the concept that I can't wrap my head around. If you like someone, let them know, because then you'll know if they like you back or not. And if they do, amazing. Green light, press go. If they don't, now you know, and you don't have to sit there wondering.
Exactly. Yeah. But I have a couple of girlfriends that don't date that way. Like there's a
You and
lot
me
of
both.
games involved.
Mhm.
Yeah, like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm not gonna tell them first, or like I'm not gonna text them first, or there's a lot of rules in like
Yeah.
the way they date, and it's always very interesting to me because it's like anti what I believe in,
Mhm.
which is just authentic sharing, right? Like if
Yeah.
I'm into this, I'm gonna tell you, and if you are like, ooh, this is too much, then you're not for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Okay, wait. Take me back to this flight that you guys met on, talked the whole time on, because we've all been sitting there, like sitting in our seat, watching the people walk by the aisle, like eyeing anyone who looks remotely our age, wondering, like, please sit next to me, sir. Um, how did the conversation start? And was it like, did you both feel that there was a connection in chemistry, or was it just like, oh, this is entertaining, I'm gonna keep talking to this person?
Oh no, it was pretty instant.
Yeah.
I've for the I don't know how I was maybe 35. For the 35 years I've been alive, I've never sat next to an attractive woman in my life on a plane, and she was the first one.
And we're married.
Yeah. What's it was I was already sitting down and I saw her walking down the aisleway, and almost like every time I'm on a plane, I'm like, yes, please sit next to me.
Yeah.
Please sit next to me. And she sat right next to me. So
Well, I
I
guess
say fate.
the moral of the story is if there is an attractive person sitting next to you, just talk to them.
Yeah.
Yep. And the
But
rest is
yeah,
history.
we definitely felt the connection. At the time we were originally like with other people.
Okay.
Which is so funny because your podcast like name.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But it was, yeah, I definitely felt chemistry. Like whether or not it's, romantic or not, I definitely like this person. Like I
Mhm.
like this human, he's interesting, he's passionate. And really what got me into being very interested in what he has to say was the fact of like he left his previous profession, which is dentistry, to become an artist, an oil painter, like full time. And to me, that's just like so much courage that
Thank you.
that like I've just never met someone like that.
Yeah. And especially for you pursuing a career that obviously like has so much passion behind it. Like
Yeah.
you love what you do. You're doing something that might be a little unorthodox to some people. Like I totally relate to that. And you want to be with somebody else who's like so passionate about chasing
Yeah.
after what they want to do.
Exactly. We like being unorthodox together.
Yeah. It's I'd say it's nice to have a partner you're inspired by. And
Mhm.
I almost say it should be a 100% requirement. And if you as an individual is not inspiring to another, like you got to work on yourself and get to that level, whatever it may be, right? It doesn't have to be some big grand thing, but I love the kind of what is it? Build a garden and the butterflies will come. Like make you got to focus on yourself a little bit and make sure you're at your like top level, and you'll attract all the goodness in life.
Yeah. Did you both feel like you were at that point when you met each other?
Hmm.
No, but towards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Working
like I
towards
know
it.
I was working towards it. But after I met him, I engaged in a lot of personal development. Because Brent's very healthy, number one. Like, I was a party girl.
Oh, yeah.
When we met. Yeah.
Whiskey or tequila?
Just love to party, just love to party. Like hedonism is my thing.
Nothing wrong with it.
But Brent's like very healthy. He was already engaging in like he was already doing like meditation and breath work. I started doing daily meditation just like about like maybe half a year before we met. And so we had a lot in common in terms of like mindful activities, like mindfulness that we're interested in pursuing.
Positive growth.
Positive self-growth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
love
so
that.
that really helped us like connect and kind of push each other to become like the better selves that we know we can be.
Yeah. So from the point where you texted him, how did things progress?
I would say I will say it's mainly like
Fast, very fast.
yeah. But I would say we weren't like we didn't start off being in a committed relationship.
Yeah.
We started off friends with benefits. Like
Okay.
he was seeing someone else, I was seeing someone. Like it was very chill, would you say? Like
yeah. It was.
yeah.
So
The attraction was fast, but like the development was chill.
yeah, I'll tell the quick story of how it all went down. So we met probably a month before COVID started, and I have in downtown, I have an amazing art studio, really fun place to hang out. So because there's nothing else to do, her and I literally spent almost every day hanging out at my studio, talking, meditating. We'd go on hikes out in nature. So it was a nice, quiet time to really develop a relationship and really get to know each other.
And no partying for me.
That's true. You couldn't.
Clubs were closed.
You could party on Zoom, but it doesn't hit the same.
Exactly, which I did. I did like some like Zoom happy hours, but
it was very intimate. I don't know if intimate's the right word, but
it's quiet. I like it's easier because you're not necessarily distracted by like various obligations, right? Like even my friends, like I wasn't able to hang out with like some of my friends that had more, restrictive routine for their like COVID situation. So yeah, I feel like it was just like a quiet time to develop a relationship. And it was to me, it was an easy choice to be together. But yeah, it had to then come to like a conversation. Dun dun dun. And this was the time where I was also exploring with some like psychedelics. I'm not sure if you're familiar with experiencing like different types of psychedelics, but
I myself have not. I've heard
Yeah.
stories, but I don't have an expert knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I did ayahuasca, which is really like really intense plant medicine.
Yes.
And I just learned that I wanted to be in a committed relationship with him, and
Sure.
I want us to grow a family. I want us to like have a baby together. And so I showed up, and that's what I said. And I said, if it's not, it's kind of an ultimatum.
Yeah, it was. It was.
And I said, if that's not what you're looking for, it's totally fine. And we can be friends because I still like you. But that's what I want. And I guess you know the answer. So we're here.
So this goes back to some. I wanted to say this earlier. To all your female listeners out there, guys are horrible. Well, in general, guys are horrible at communicating their feelings. Like, it's so nice to have a partner who she tells me exactly what she wants. She tells me, she bluntly tells me exactly what she wants, and it makes it so much easier because it's hard for me to even like generate these kind of conversations. But her telling me, it makes it so much easier to have these conversations.
Because you're not a mind reader.
Yeah. But just women, ask guys what they or tell guys what you want, because it will make both lives so much easier.
Yeah, I think that's a struggle because, like I talk to so many women that are like, yeah, but that's not what I want. Like, I want him to notice little things about me. I want him to like get me gifts and surprise me. I want him to understand when I don't feel good and come console me in a way that I like. And for me, it's like, whoa, that seems like a lot to ask from someone, especially when someone is so engrossed in pushing forward and achieving in their career. And I think that's the difference. Is like I give him a lot of instructions of what I need because I know that he spends a lot of time developing his craft. And I respect that. And that's like a part of why I'm attracted to him. Therefore, I'm fine with like, not expecting these unexpected gestures from your partner, which a lot of women want.
Yeah. But you can want them, but also still help guide them. Like, it's okay to say, hey, I would love if you like would notice little things I say and then surprise me. And then he or she or they, whoever could say like, oh, okay, like she's having a bad day. I know she mentioned she loves like a croissant and a chai latte. I'm going to surprise her with that. But
exactly,
you do sometimes have to ask for it, and that's okay. That doesn't mean they don't care. That doesn't mean they're not thoughtful. people need, like, we're not mind readers. We can't assume that they know exactly what's going on in our heads. And there's nothing wrong with asking and
No,
telling
I
someone.
know.
And I love that you made the first move to text. I love that you had this kind of epiphany and said, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you're not on board, but I'm telling you now, so we both don't waste our time. And I think
Right.
that is so brave, and that's hard to do, but the payoff is so, so big.
Yes,
So
it is.
big. Yeah.
Yeah, babe.
Because now we're together, thanks to me.
Yeah, it really was her. She had pursued me.
And it worked.
It was interesting because, you know, like I knew in my heart that he would be like, yes, I want to like spend the rest of our lives together. But there is this small part of me that was like, oh, but maybe that's not what he wanted, because when we were casual, we talk a lot. Like I ask him like hundreds of questions.
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds of questions.
You should type out all those questions.
And give it to people?
Yes,
Yeah.
totally should.
Yeah, I asked him so many questions because like I'm a social scientist. Like I'm gonna, you know, collect data. And early on when we were talking about relationship dynamics and setups and family and, you know, all the things, he didn't want the things I wanted. So that kind of had like, that was like the 5% in my head that was like, oh, but maybe he doesn't want this, because he was saying like, you know, oh, I probably wouldn't want to live with like someone, or like maybe we can like have like multiple bedrooms and sleep in separate bedrooms. Remember?
I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
And
But
then
that's just because I never met you.
Yeah, that was before you met the person you wanted to do those things with.
Yeah.
now he can't fall asleep without me.
That's
But you know, there were conversations like that early on that gave me the small like red flag that like, oh, maybe he doesn't want what I want, which is like a lesson for a lot of the listeners. Like just because someone says something early on in a relationship, that's not like a fixed thing. Conversations should be ongoing.
Absolutely.
And if things change for you, you should tell them to see if things have changed for them too. Because for me, I had that thought. However, I did it anyways. Like I told him anyways what I wanted. And like, you know, he completely changed from all those views. And now, you know, we're together. And for me, when he, so the next day after I gave him that ultimatum, the next day he wrote me a letter. And
Ooh,
that was a wild time, but the first sentence was like, I want to be the father of our children.
I'm gonna cry.
And yeah, like and at first, like, you know, I remember when we were casual, he was like, yeah, I can take it or leave it with children. Like I don't need to have children. And then now, like, we really want children. Yeah. Things change.
Yeah. The thing that she's really taught me, and I'd say this is a good life skill for everybody, is to always be open to especially positive change, right? Like I think as a world, we're so afraid of like changing our personal, we hold so tight to our personal beliefs, but now I'm in a relationship where change is always a possibility, and that's exciting, right? Like that's like infinite possibilities of interesting, cool, amazing experiences and things to do in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like once we put something out there, whether it's to a partner, to friends on social media, we feel like, well, it's out there now. I can't take it back. I said I would never do this. Like, does it make everything I say look like a lie if I suddenly decide I do want to do this, or I do want to move there, or I do want to be in this type of relationship or have kids or XYZ? But we're all so dynamic, and we're allowed to change our minds.
Yes.
And
yes.
The more information you have, the more you're able to make decisions that are right for you. And so I love that you were able to say like, okay, like now that I know you and me with you and our relationship together, here is what I want or what I will accept and like be down for.
Yeah. I mean, we change all the time. Like, you know, I used to not like chocolate. Now I like chocolate.
Oh yeah.
Because
I knew she would.
Because he showed me good chocolate.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
And that's not euphemism for any sex stuff.
He really didn't like chocolate before, which blew me away. It's hard for me to believe anybody doesn't like chocolate, but
Right, but like, I mean, if I really sit down and reflect, there were so many things that I have changed throughout this last like 5 years.
Phew. Ditto.
Absolutely.
Same here.
Well, speaking of sex, Brent, what was it like for you to get into this relationship with a sexologist and relationship coach?
I think you could probably answer that yourself. I think anybody can answer that yourself. It's incredible. I hit the jackpot. I get to paint all day, and then I'm married to a sexologist. Like, I'll tell you what's the real benefit to it, and it goes back to the embracing change and always being open to new, interesting experiences, and sexually as well, right? Like, I would have never thought I would have ever gone to a sex party in my life. Now we go to sex parties, and it's awesome. It's so much fun.
He's from like a small town, Pacific Northwest, like wholesome community, you know, like kinky stuff isn't a part of that community. Oh, maybe it is, but it's in like, you know, closed doors, behind closed doors. But yeah, I think in that regard, like he changed a lot. And you know, like the perks of being a sexologist is I get so many PR boxes from like sex toy companies.
A lot of build-ups.
So I have a lot. Yeah, I have a lot of like just stuff to try. And even the other day we were like, ooh, let's just try this new like sex pillow that they sent. And it was really good. It was really like hitting the G spot. It was very deep. So yeah, like it's so fun to be with a partner that's down to try. You know, like it's okay if you don't like it after you try. But like I just can't be with anyone that has like a very stubborn, like, oh, I would never do this. Well, you know, I'll do anything once. Like, and if I don't like it, I'll tell you.
Right. Exactly. It all goes back to communication of you have to speak your mind and you have to say how you feel about something, even if it's not what you had hoped for, not what they want to hear. You have to be open about it.
Yeah. Especially in early dating, I know that it's hard because you're not that close, but you're gonna make a mistake of not communicating, and then you will just like stay in that mode. I was in a long-term relationship prior to this relationship where I did not speak my mind, and I did not do that from the start. So I was kind of stuck in this like good girl mode where like I would just never say anything because I don't want to like rock the boat. And then, you know, a couple years later, I realized like I'm miserable because I don't ever get to say anything. And it wasn't even his fault. Like he didn't know.
Right.
But it was my fault because I didn't say anything.
That's so hard for me to believe because all I know is you
saying everything.
Yeah, like it doesn't.
See, people
I almost
change.
don't believe her like saying that.
I know. I changed so much because I just know from that failed relationship that I would never be like that again. Yeah.
So you mentioned going to sex parties as a couple. What is, I know the term monogamish is in your repertoire. Can you explain what that means to people?
Yeah, so monogamish just means like we're 99% like monogamous couples. Our day-to-day is just like other people, but there's that 1% of the ability to talk about trying and exploring with other people in the right context. So like if we go to a sex party and this girl approaches me, like I'm like, can I play with her? You know, having conversations about things like that allow us to have like a more, I guess, sexually adventurous relationship that as compared to a completely monogamous relationship. But yeah, like the day to day, like people ask me like, what do you guys do like during the day? I'm like, it's the same.
Yeah.
We go to work, we make dinner, like it's the same. But yes, we go to sex parties. Yes, we're allowed to play with other people if we talk about it in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a there's a couple misconceptions I still feel like needs to be. It's not like a free for all.
No.
It's not like, and then sex parties, they're not like everybody's in a huge orgy. It's not everybody's naked at these sex parties.
No.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions, I feel like, but it's the possibility and openness to change is what it ultimately is. Like,
oh, nice. Good summary.
Look at that.
I love it. a lot of themes coming out here. Communication,
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. It's like being open to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a beautiful thing in our relationship is you literally can say anything.
Yeah,
It's nice.
absolutely. I'm curious what your thoughts are as a sexologist. I often get questions from listeners who they are starting to see somebody and they feel like they might have way less sexual experience than them. Or I recently spoke with somebody who he's never had sex before and he is super nervous about how to approach that with this person. Like, what advice do you have for people who feel like they might not have the same level of experience as the person that they're pursuing?
I think first is shifting your perspective. Like, just because someone had a lot of experience doesn't mean they had good experiences. Like, what if
True.
they had all terrible experiences and the first time that they have sex with you, it's like amazing. That's the only one that counts. So for me, is shifting your perspective. Like, hey, like, it doesn't matter what had happened in the past for me, for them. The only thing that matters is now, is the present and our relationship and our sexual interaction, and we can make the best out of it. If I get out of my head and not, worry too much about the past. I would say there are a couple of sexual self-esteem building activities that I really like that I've done throughout, this last like 8 years of me pursuing my like sexual empowerment. Is like, one is positive like sex journaling. So I write things like, um, I love my pussy. I don't know if you have to bleep that.
Me too.
Yep, you're good. And then like I write things like, I am a great lover, I am a generous lover. And I do that every day. Like I insert, a sexual empowerment statement in my journaling every day. I do sexual meditation, which is, if anyone's interested, I have like just free guided sexual meditation on YouTube. That really helps with like empowerment and the feeling of like confidence. And then another activity that I really like is having sexual conversations with your partner. And there are different questions that you can ask, like, for example, um, what was your like most what is your most favorite activity for foreplay? Um, how would you rate your sex life the last year? Like things like that will allow you to feel more and more confident each time. Like if you're able to talk about it, you're more likely to be able to like do it with confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one.
Okay.
So, and I guess I'm speaking from a heterosexual relationship, but from a guy's perspective, I think it ultimately all goes down to being, I guess, open and vulnerable and finding somebody, let's say it's your first time having sex, finding somebody you trust that you can have conversations and be vulnerable and state that, like, let's say it's a male that you've never had sex before. And I'd say probably from a female's perspective is to, like, guys can get performance anxiety big time, especially first time. I think if almost like if a woman, and I'm kind of talking out loud here, but if a woman was like, hey, I understand you may not be able to like get it up right away. Like I'm here for like, but do you know what I mean? Like,
imagine saying that. I understand that you may not be able to get it up right away.
But like it's being able to be comfortable is ultimate and not have like pressure.
A facade.
Yeah, like a facade. I think a lot, especially guys, we put up facades like we're like macho man. We can get erection like in 2 seconds kind of thing. But because I was one of these people, I needed to have like a connection with somebody for me to even be comfortable, to even be able to get it up. And so I think, I don't know, women could help out men a lot in this situation about kind of talking to them before and getting them to relax.
Accepting the fact that they have less experience.
Yeah. And women would love that, wouldn't they?
I think it depends. An evolved woman would
Nice.
love that, but then there are still, there's a lot of people in the world. There are like some childish women that may be like, "Ooh, I don't want to have sex with someone that has never had sex before."
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, there's toxic men and there are toxic women.
That
That's
is
right.
a fact.
Femininity. Oh,
But yeah, it is real. It is
Still there.
definitely
I didn't
real.
know that existed.
No, I think it's a great point of, it is hard to be vulnerable and open up about that. But
Yeah.
if you can open up about that, you'd rather open up about that and know that they accept that and are there
Mhm.
to support you through it than not open up about it and not know how they're going to react. Like if you open up about it to somebody and say that, whether it's I've never had sex before, I've never kissed somebody before, anything in between or anything else, and they are turned off by that or are going to write you off for that, then you should know that about them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's not the
That's not
person
your
to
person.
do
Yeah,
any
that's
of
not a good
these things
person.
with.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I think it's important for like everybody to also learn like empathetic response,
Yes.
right? Like whatever people share with you, like just have a first reaction be an empathetic response.
Yeah.
But maybe you disagree and maybe you don't want to see this person again, but like that first response is so important.
Yeah.
And I know some people don't have a filter, so they have a first response like, ew, or that's weird, like, and I learned this from
What's wrong?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
That one's
What's wrong?
Lord.
Yeah.
Kill a guy.
Like,
And
listen, we're all questioning that about ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
So nobody else better say that out loud.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I learned that from the King communication research that, when people come out and they share about their kink, it's so important to give an empathetic response or else you will scar them forever. Because they feel like when they share a vulnerable part of themselves, that's very secretive and personal. And if you don't have a positive reaction, it will kind of like make them go into their shell. If you think of a turtle and like not come out for years to come.
Yeah.
So it is important to have that empathetic response be the first thing you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So having been together for 4 years now, well, going on 5, I guess, what would you say has been the key for you two to continue to have a deep connection and continue to not just like fall in love, but stay in love with each other?
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Kind of what I said earlier, having a partner that you're inspired by. There's always a respect and an appreciation and a love and a connection to those people in life in general, especially in a partner. And I would say embracing, open to change. And the other big one is enjoying the present moment. Making love is such a pleasurable, beautiful experience. And the more present you are, it's like just the better it is.
Yeah. I think from my part is how I like continue to be in love with Brent is just doing things without counting things. I think there are a lot of people that are in a relationship, whether or not it's an early relationship, a long-term relationship, that they will be like, oh, but I cooked yesterday and I took the trash out and I did this and this, so tomorrow it's your turn and like, I mean, I'm all for equal like chore division and all that, but even in life, like people will be like, well, I planned the date last week, so I feel like you're not trying or something like that, versus I feel like when you're in a relationship where it's so open and communicative and respectful, two people are trying, right? Like if I'm doing things without like expecting specific numbers in return, I feel like he observes that and does the same for me. Like in terms of acts of service, I think we both engage in a lot of acts of service for each other. And I think that's so important in a relationship. And I've seen so many people that count the things, and expect a specific number of things back. And it's so interesting to me because I love helping Brent in like anywhere I can. And I know he loves, and I know he loves like taking care of me, like cooking. Like I never cook ever. Brent's the cook in the family. And like he just loves doing like serving me.
That's true.
And I love helping him. So I think that's a huge part of staying in love and also sexually connected, because then I'm turned on because he's taking care of me. Like I'm turned on. If I feel taken advantage of, I can't be turned on. Right. And a lot of women in long-term relationships might feel like they're being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Of their energy, of their effort, of their, responsibilities. So if you're in that scenario, communicate with your partner that you're feeling that a little bit drained, that things have, shifted, and that you need things to change in order to have the sexual desire for your partner.
Yeah. Because again, if they're so consumed with what's going on in their world and you're not speaking up saying, hey, I feel like I've been doing all the work. I feel like this isn't like the team that it's supposed to be.
Right.
I'd really like, if they might think, oh, well, she's been doing all the work. She hasn't complained. So she's okay with it. I'm just going to keep going with this, but it's not working.
Exactly.
Okay. I got one other good one that I almost never hear talked about. Good physical and mental health. I could tell you good physical health is great for sexual function, right?
Yes.
And great mental health too, which I think great mental health will solve all the world problems. But we're both very focused on both those things.
Yeah.
We're not focused on it, but we
care about it.
We care about it as part of our lives.
Yeah, it is very important. I mean, if you're an individual, have poor mental health, like that's going to be hard to engage in, or poor physical health. Yeah, it's going to be hard to engage in relational maintenance and fostering like sexual connection.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not feeling good about yourself, you're not going to want to feel good with somebody else.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay, I have one last question for you guys, and it's how we wrap up every single episode of Seeing Other People, and that is, what is the best piece of dating or relationship advice you've ever received or have to give?
Oh,
interesting.
It's hard.
You want to say it first?
No, let me think more about it. You go first.
Okay. Yeah, the piece of advice that I got that I think is still applicable in my relationship now, and is what I teach people all the time, is speak your mind.
True. Yeah.
It's so important. We're in a world where, many of us, especially women, have developed to become people pleaser. And sometimes we silence ourselves, we censor ourselves, we, make ourselves small so that we don't, offend anybody or make anyone feel bad or make anyone don't like us. And I learned this from a mentor that, like, if you don't speak up, no one will speak up for you. Like, you are responsible for your own wellness. And that includes relationship wellness, sexual wellness, mental health wellness. Like, you got to speak up. And I think that's so important in dating and relationship, especially like early dating. If you're single and you're mingling, like, you got to speak up.
Yeah.
I mean, I spoke up and here we are. So I think
it's true.
I think it works.
It's true.
100%. I think at every stage, whether it's making the first move, whether it's having the conversation of like, where is this going? What are you looking for? Even like saying I love you, like, it doesn't have to be a gendered situation. Like, whoever you are, you have the opportunity and the ability to say what's on your mind, say how you feel. Otherwise, like, you're not living your life for you. You're just letting life happen to you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Friends?
I kind of just thought of this, but it's so, this is going to be might be a little wordy, but I grew up and now, before I say this, I have an amazing mom and dad. My dad, most of my memories of my dad is my dad being lovingly playful towards my mom, which was like the greatest example in the world. And I feel like in America, we have this culture of almost like, oh, when you grow up and you get old, you eventually start to like not like your partner and you talk negative about them. And I think that is such bullshit harm in our world. Any negative activity between us is a 3-minute conversation that we work out and it's done with, and 99.9999% of our life is all positive. And I don't expect or accept anything else than that. And if you're in a relationship where there's a lot of negativity, is figure it out, or this isn't the right person for you, and go find your soulmate.
Figure out or get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it always pains me when I hear people that are like, oh yeah, like let's escape our wives and go to a bar.
Crazy.
Like, why is it an escape? Like, maybe you shouldn't be in that marriage if it's an escape.
Yeah. You should be in it because every day you want to be in it, and it brings you like the joy to stress, or like the joy to emotional pain. Like the scale should be as far apart from each other as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
She's the person I want to hang out with most. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how
this is my best
if that's
friend.
not how it should, if that's not how it is, then it's not the right relationship. I do agree with that.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been so amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Can you remind everybody where they can find you, both of you? I am so excited to check out your art, Brent. Like I know it's going to be like everything.
You'll love it.
You'll love it. So my Instagram is at lovebites.co. That's LUVBITES.co. My podcast is also called Love Bites.
You can find me everywhere, Instagram, website at Brent Estabrook. So Brent and then ESTABROOK.
Amazing. And I will have all of that linked in the show notes. Thank you guys so much.